Welcome everybody. So I'm going to be talking about Masquerain today, and before I get into literally anything else, I have to address the typing because I know for a fact there are going to be tons of people asking why isn't it bug water. All right, so I'm just going to start straight off by talking about that. I'm not even going to talk about anything else yet. So bug water Masquerain, point of contention. A lot of people really want it. I think it's pretty unique and cool. The only other bug water type is Araquanid, so at least in Gen 7. So it's pretty sweet. It's a good typing, it's cool, all that fun stuff. And there actually is a lot of bug flying types. So the reason wasn't for diversity, like a couple of other type changes in this hack, were made for diversity, for having different type combos, and also just for what am I trying to say here? Also just for having like Pokemon do not overlap with one another is my point. So Pokemon don't outclass or underclass, I guess, one another. That's not the case with Masquerain. The case is a couple of things. Number one, I'm gonna be real, bug water doesn't make sense, and that's not me saying I wouldn't do it. Here's what I'll hear. Okay, the reasons are good. That's not the main reason. Because I had bug water literally in my notes. Like I'm sure if you guys are returning viewers, I talk about my notes every once in a while. I literally have it listed as bug water in my notes. But a friend of mine, we were talking about it, and they were like, what if it had drizzle instead? And I was like, you know what? I like that a lot more. It's a lot cooler. It's a lot more unique. So the benefits of it having drizzle is it essentially gets triple stab. It's still no longer weak to water under rain, so it's a neutrality to water, which is cool. Same as bug water. And you might be thinking, okay, why not make a bug water with drizzle? Like best of both worlds. Well, then you wouldn't have levitate, and I think it definitely needs levitate. So if it was bug water, it would have intimidate and levitate, and that's kind of eh. Like levitate's good, don't get me wrong. It's a great ability, really, it's great. But I don't know, Intimidate and Drizzle just feels a lot more fun. Not to mention, it's called Masquerain. Rain. It's literally in its fucking name. So I think Drizzle makes a lot of sense, despite the fact that, okay, also you might be wondering why doesn't Bug Water make sense? Some people might not know. If you read Masquerain's Dex entries, it literally talks about, I'll read it word for word. Because it can't fly if its wings get wet, it shelters itself from rain under large trees and leaves. Oh, also there's a fucking typo in that entry. It says eaves. I wonder if that's a real typo in game or if that's just a typo on Pokemon DB, probably the other way around. So, yeah, okay, it's pretty clear that water type, it literally says, as wings and antennae don't cope well with moisture. After rain, it faces somewhere to dry off. So even drizzle is a logical stretch, but it's cool. It's kind of like, number one, it has rain in its name. Number two, a couple of other dex entries do talk about how it can, like, not summon rain, but it's like a, here, I'll read it. If its eyes are droopy and appear sad, it is said to be a sign that heavy rainfall is on the way. Does that make sense for it to be able to summon the rain? No. But does it matter? No, not really. It's Pokemon, and people have wanted bug water Masquerain, so I figured, you know what? I can still give you that, just in a different way that you might not instantly assume. Because it has stab on water type moves. With Drizzle, it gets stab on water moves, plain and simple. And I can't give it Drizzle as a bug water type because then it wouldn't have levitate, and I just can't. Like, I wouldn't. Me changing a Pokemon that used to be flying type into another type, and then not giving it levitate, unless it's not a flying Pokemon like Delibird, for example, meaning it doesn't fly in its animation, then it just feels super cursed and weird, and I don't like it at all. Like, it being vulnerable to ground moves is just weird as fuck and cursed, in my opinion. So it would have to have levitate, and that's not a bad ability, but then you kind of lose out on Drizzle. So it's either Drizzle with bug flying or levitate with bug water. And some people still might be sitting here and they might be thinking, you know what, I still want that bug water type. I respect your opinion, but this is what I'm doing. I like it a lot more. Not to mention, you get Hurricane, which doesn't miss with Drizzle. So you have Stab Hurricane that doesn't miss. That's 120 base power, has a 30% chance to flinch. It's a great move. All right, that's great late game for Drizzle sets. Drizzle's also great to support your teammates. Get that Weather Ball on your ally. You get that Weather Ball coverage on your Pokemon. Also, just activating abilities in general. Activating your own Swift Swim or Hydration or whatever else it may be. It's a great ability. Drizzle's really awesome, obviously. So that's a super good ability for it. And again, it still essentially makes it kind of like a water type. I like when Pokemon in this hack have triple stab, is what I call it, where like they have an ability that gives them stab on a move that isn't their type, or basically any ability that gives them a 50% boost to a specific type of moves, or not even 50%, some cases maybe less than 50, but, or like even with more, like Liquid Veil, for example, like Liquid Veil, Licky and shit, like they have triple stab technically, but even more because of the Liquid Veil ability. That kind of thing is always really cool to me. I just like it. It's almost like they're triple typed in a weird way. So yeah, Masquerain is neutral to fire and rain. Its water moves are boosted, so it essentially has triple stab as opposed to just bug and water stab. Obviously, bug and water stab is better than bug and flying, but bug, flying, and water is obviously superior. And again, you might be arguing, okay, well, you can't run Intimidate and Drizzle at the same time, and that's very true. But that's the beauty of having infinite use ability capsules in this hack. You can simply switch between your abilities whenever you need. So one fight, yeah, you might need the bulk from Intimidate because one thing I did, I'll talk about the stats in a little bit. I just want to get that typing out of the way because I know for a fact that's going to be a very, not, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's going to be something that people are going to be questioning or wondering about. There might be some people in the comments who are like, you know what, I always thought Bug Water Masquerain was dumb anyways. It's a very like split thing. Some people think it's dumb. Some people think it's really cool. I'm on the fence about it. I think it's cool, but it's also kind of dumb. But so is Drizzle. If you want to be very pedantic about the Pokedex lore, then yes, Masquerain does it make sense to have Drizzle or be part water type. But especially the part water type because it's literally like a flying insect. Like the reason Berserker is water because it's like that's the life cycle of the insect, you know. But regardless, it's like why Ninkata is bug ground and then turns into bug flying, you know, because it's cicada. Cicada nymphs live under the ground, but you know that's just the way it is. I prefer this. I prefer having triple stab. Again, you can switch between having Drizzle or Intimidate. So Intimidate makes it very tanky and has great support. Intimidate plus Parting Shot is great. Intimidate plus Roost is great. Intimidate plus Calm Mind is great. All that kind of stuff is always great. All these other utility moves like Scary Face, which drops attack by 1 and speed by 2. Sweet Scent, which drops the opponent's special stats by 1. Haze, Soak, Z-Soak gives you +2 special attack, so that's really great. You can also use Z-Soak plus stuff like Giga Drain or Energy Ball, which is awesome. Very good combo. You know, get that +2 special attacks, and then also click Giga Drain the next turn to get your HP back. It's really cool. That's all your best special boosting option besides Quiver Dance, but Quiver Dance isn't as needed because you're already very quick, which I'll get into. I'm going to get into the stats because Masquerain's great. Look, if I had chosen Bug Water with Levitate, it would be probably about just as good. It would just lose out on the triple stab, and it would lose out on no missing Hurricane. And it would lose out on supporting your teammates with Swift Swim, but it would gain different type effectiveness and Levitate. So, you know, pros and cons there. Yeah, Bug Flying is not a great type. It's a pretty solid type, honestly. With Drizzle, you're only weak to Electric, Ice, Flying, and Rock. That's only 4 weaknesses. It's not bad at all. Obviously, there's a 4x weakness there, but tons of amazing Pokemon have 4x weaknesses. Not to mention, you can kill Rock types with your Water moves. So, like, you know, Drizzle boosted Water move kills a Rock type for the most part. Obviously, always exceptions, but generally speaking, that's a good option for Rock types. Meanwhile, Ice, Electric, and Flying, yeah, I mean, you actually do have coverage for those, but you know, that's true counters. And then Fire, of course, not only dies in the rain to your water move, but also is only neutral in the rain. Obviously, the rain doesn't last forever. It lasts 5 turns. However, with the addition of the Damp Rock and Heat Rock and Smooth Rock, whatever buffs, they now add 6 turns. So actually, Damp Rock Masquerain actually lasts for 11 turns with Drizzle. So that's really great. And you also have that immunity to ground with Flying type, of course. So that's a great. I mean, and then you have 3 resistances, 2 of which are 4 times. I mean, Fighting and Grass 4 times resist is good, man. Especially that Fighting 4 times resist. That's super valuable. You know, Intimidate 4 times resist to Fighting is like a super great physical fighting type counter. I mean, you just switch it in and then you swallow their head. Obviously, you know, Ghost types are immune, but it's still really cool nonetheless. Really, really useful. Intimidate in general is great on it. So, of course, you do have infinite ability capsules, so you can swap between your abilities depending on the situation. For one boss fight, you're going to need Drizzle. Next boss fight, you're going to need Intimidate. Simple as that. Stat-wise, I kept their bulk intact. I wanted to drop their HP because I have been basing HP on size in this hack. This is kind of loud, isn't it? I feel like I'm talking really loudly because of this. Volume down. Okay, we're good. I was just like yelling in your ear. Hopefully, it wasn't that bad. Yeah. What am I trying to say here? I wanted to drop its HP stat, but I was like, you know what? It's nice for the bulk. It already had 70 base HP. I won't drop it. What I was gonna do is I was gonna do 62 HP and 90 Spit F. So I take 8 out and put it in Spit F. So it's not even like it's less bulky. It's just different. Even if it was less bulky, it would be a big deal. But, you know, I was like, fuck it. Let me just keep the original stats. It's whatever. It's a little bit high on the higher end for how big it is. It's a little bug. It's like 2.5 feet, and that's probably including the wingspan. So in reality, this thing's tiny. But another really cool thing about Masquerain, I'm sure you guys know. Here, I'll let you look up like Masquerain GIF or something. If you look at its 3D model, if I can find it, please. Game. Look at how fast those wings flutter. It's so cool. I love how I can justify higher speed stats on Pokemon because of their like 3D models. Because I don't know how what is this Gen 5 sprite like? It's probably not that quick looking, right? You know, despite all the shit that 3D models get, because a lot of them are a lot worse than the sprites, some of them are good, man. They definitely put a lot of effort into some of them, or at least they made them really look like they're fast. Oh, where the hell is there was a Gen 5 GIF in the recommended here. I literally saw it. I literally saw it. I literally saw it. It was in the okay, I'm gonna lose my mind, but whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay, my point is that it is fast, and canonically, I forget exactly what insect. What insect is Masquerain? I forget exactly. Can you tell me what bug it is? Jesus. Is it just a made-up bug? No, it's definitely based off a real bug. There's no way. Huh? Maybe it is just like a weird amalgamation of bugs. This is so unrelated. I should not be talking about this, but rain moth. Also, it does have rain as a name, so drizzle makes a lot more sense. I think drizzle having the power of rain makes more sense than being a literal water type, because it doesn't live in the water anymore. It just has water powers because of the rain and shit. I don't know. I really enjoy drizzle bug flying. I think it's a lot cooler. You get that no miss drizzle. Sorry, you get that no miss hurricane. You get the drizzle support for your teammates, all that kind of stuff. And again, I couldn't do bug water with drizzle, so this is better than that in my opinion. It's a lot cooler and more unique. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I guess people just don't know. I guess it's just like a moth thing. It's not really a legitimate animal, legitimate bug, which is interesting. But if you read dex entries here, it talks about here. I'll say this Pokemon flaps its 4 wings to fly freely in any direction, even sideways and backwards, as if it were a helicopter. Same as like Yanma and Yanmega and Crobat and shit. And those Pokemon are all fast as shit. Obviously, Yanmega isn't that fast, but it had speed boost in vanilla games, and then obviously in this pack, it's extremely fast. I think what wasn't it like 146 base speed or something crazy. Which is a little bit of favoritism, but also it makes total sense. It's fucking Dragonfly. They're some of the fastest Pokemon for their animals. Jesus. Oh yeah, dude, new IRL Pokemon dropped. God. The speaking is funny. But yeah, 127 bit speed is incredible. And very fitting for it, in my opinion. Again, given its 3D model, given its inspiration, given the dex entries to talk about how it moves in all directions, and it's very quick and small, and it looks super fast and agile. So look at those wings. Look at how fast they're flapping. So I really enjoy the high base speed, and it also has a very good 114 base special attack, as well as having Calm Mind, Z-Soak, and Quiver Dance to boost that up, which is all great. Great stuff for sure. Powerful stab options as well. Again, you have Hurricane, you have Air Slash, Aero Blast, Bug Bomber, Bug Buzz, all this great stuff. You have Priority with Silver Gale, Gust, and Bubble Shot. Priority is not that necessary on you, but you know it's still decent. Coverage-wise, I give them a lot more coverage as well. Also, Surskit is cool, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it's a really good. It can be very fast and you just be purely offensive and just be a fast offensive mon, or it can be utility again with Intimidate and Scary Face and Sweet Scent and Roost and all this other shit. Like it's a Parting Shot, Intimidate, like all this stuff is really great. Parting Shot's kind of weird, but you know it already had Intimidate, so why can't it just do the same shit that does when it intimidates you, only when it switches out? I know Parting Shot is technically, this is something I've been meaning to address for a while. I know Parting Shot is technically supposed to be a sound move. Like it's technically like I think in Japanese it's parting threat, and so they're supposed to like curse you out or some shit, or like you know be like, oh, like, they're supposed to like taunt you before you switch out. But you know in English the name and also the animation is just parting shot. So like even just looking at you a little bit mean could be interpreted as parting shot in my opinion. Like oh they're just looking at you mean and then switching out, you know. So Intimidate Mon, parting shot makes sense in my opinion. So also it's just cool for utility. So even if it's a little bit of a reach, I think it's really awesome utility in all the Pokemon I've been giving it to. So it's definitely more good than it is bad in terms of like logic. But yeah, let me get back on topic. So they have great coverage now. Not anything too crazy, but very solid. So obviously you have Bug, Flying, Stab, and then you have Water, which is boosted by Drizzle to essentially become Stab, and then you have Giga Drain, Energy Ball, and then technically Solar Beam, as well as Mega Drain for Grass moves, which are great coverage on you, as well as Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, and Venom Shock for Poison type coverage, which is great. Shadow Ball and Psychic and Ice Beam are also great coverage moves. And then you also have Mud Fling, which is weak, but it is good ground type coverage nonetheless. It's 60 base power, which is good for early game, but you know, once you hit like the 30s and 40s, you might want to ditch it unless you really need to hit something with Mud Fling. But you know, it's great for early game. Great coverage move as well. So yeah, that's all some cool shit for sure. Really useful coverage moves. Pretty fitting. I mean, I give it Psychic because it had Side Beam already by level up, or by Egg move rather. So why not just give it Psychic then if it had Side Beam naturally? I mean, also a lot of Pokemon get Psychic for no reason. All the fucking Butterfly Pokemon get it, so why not just give it to Masquerain for coverage? Sludge Bomb because it's a bug and shit. Yeah, I don't need to explain the logic for those. Focus Blast also. Focus Blast is great, but that's obviously late game. That's great. 130 base power, 85% accurate move. I also buffed and changed the vast majority, if not literally every move in this hack. There's like 5 moves that I didn't touch, and there's like 100, literally 130 plus new, completely new moves, like with new names and everything. So check all that out in the description down below. You can also check out all the other buffs and changes to other Pokemon in the description below. Also, I'm going to be really technically. I'm gonna be so annoyed if somebody like didn't listen to the video and then they're commenting stuff about the typing and it's like stuff that I said. Like that's a big pet peeve of mine. So for those of you who listen or listen, like commenting before you listen is fine because I do the same shit when I watch YouTube videos. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll always edit the comment later when I finish the video. And if I don't finish it, then I won't comment unless it's like a really dumb video. But you know, if you just chip in and say, "Oh, I want bug water type," and then just leave, it's like, okay, well, thanks for not listening to anything I said. Obviously, if you're listening this far, this doesn't apply to you, so I should just shut the hell up. But pet peeve of mine. Yeah, just really good utility. It's really useful with all of these awesome moves I gave it. Also, in terms of water stab, or not stab technically, you know what I mean. You know, it gets tons of moves. Water pulse, bubble barrage, bubble shot for priority. Brine is powerful. Scald is obviously solid, although it is not that strong anymore. It's 75 base power. Weather ball is a great one. Weather ball for early game is very powerful because it's 90 base power and has a 50% chance to drop spit F by 1. And then later on, you get stuff like Surf and Hydro Pump and Hydro Cannon, which is all very powerful. And you can check out all the buffs to these moves in the description. I would definitely recommend it. There's a link to Google Sheets, and you can literally just look at everything for yourself. And I would, again, really recommend doing that just to see all of the changes and edits to these moves, because every move is like genuinely useful and has a place now, which is really cool. There's no more like useless poopy moves for the most part. And there was a lot of those in real games, so yeah, it's really about it. I mean, your powerful stab, again, bug buzz, bug bummer, all that stuff I covered already. Quiver dance, you could also run baton pass technically, but baton pass is negative priority now. Oh, Surskit, I want to talk about Surskit. Yeah, so Surskit, their buffs are literally just special attack, speed, abilities, and move pool. Like they didn't get buffs to their bulk because Intimidate makes Masquerain pretty big, pretty tanky, and also like it doesn't make sense to be any bulkier, at least on the physical side, or HP wise, it doesn't make any sense to get a boost to those. Surskit is like a tiny little frail ass water bug, so its stats are totally reasonable to me. It's just stronger to keep up with all of the strong, fast Pokemon. Again, 127 base speed. I can't understand how good that is, by the way. Like that's a really, really good speed tier, to be in. It's super fast, man. One of the faster Pokemon in the heck as a whole. Super awesome. What else is there? Yeah, Surskit has a Sap Sipper and Swift Swim. So obviously you're only using Surskit for the early game. Once you get to around to the Miraculous, you'll be having Masquerain. But you know, Surskit for that time is good. For Melamina Island and the beginning of Akala Island, it's pretty good. You know, it's a fast, pretty strong mon. So on special attack, it's pretty solid. For that point in the game, it's actually pretty strong. And then obviously in Swift Swim, it's extremely fast, and it's kind of overkill because nothing is that fast early game. Like if you look at the speed tiers, you'll see that like 97 is pretty overkill, but with Swift Swim, but you could run like a 0 speed investment Swift Swim set with like max HP and max special attack. That'd be pretty okay with Rain Dance, you know, and just like sweep, not sweep, but you know, get some kills and shit with like Brian or whatever. It's pretty solid, man. Bubble Barrage, etc. That's pretty cool. It's just there for flavor, and it already had Swift Swim. The only other ability I would give it would be like Water Absorb, but I don't know. Water Absorb could arguably be better. Excuse me, Jesus, could arguably be better because it's pretty frail. So having that free switch in early game could be nice, but it already has Sap Sip for that purpose. So fuck it, just give it Swift Swim to keep. Let it keep Swift Swim even if it's not that good, because it's already very fast. So you don't really need that speed boost that often, but it's still strong. You still get the rain boost. You know, it's a good ability. And then Sap Sipper is pretty logical. I mean, it's just a little bug that eats plants and shit. I'm pretty sure. So yeah. And it also like secretes sap or liquid from the top of its head. So I was like, why not? It says like it secretes a thick sugary syrup from the top of its head. So like having Sap Sipper also kind of makes sense. I think it's cute and cool. And I think it's a good ability for it. Obviously it's neutral to grass normally, so having that immunity is good. It has very good resistances, only 3 weaknesses, and then immunity to grass with Sap Sipper. That attack boost doesn't matter in this case, but it's just a good ability nonetheless, especially because you're frail physically, you know, you can switch it in on a physical grass move, or any grass move for that matter. Also, you're immune to stuff like Leech Seed and Stun Spore and other early game grass type moves. So, yeah, good shit, man. I'm really happy with how they turned out. Hopefully, I've convinced you of Masquerain with Drizzle as a bug flying type. Hopefully, I've convinced you or turned you to the other side if you started this video off expecting Bug Water, because I know a lot of other ROM hacks have popularized Bug Water Masquerain, but this is not other ROM hacks, obviously. If this was other ROM hacks, I mean, I wouldn't be here making 30-minute videos about every fucking Pokemon and spending several hours planning out every single fucking Pokemon and changing everything. Like, that's just not what typical ROM hacks do. So yeah, hopefully I explained it. Even if you would rather have bug water, I think you can hopefully understand the reasons for why I didn't do it. Um, because again, I would rather have drizzle and bug flying type than levitate and bug water. The only argument you can make that I don't have a legitimate answer for is, well, why not bug water with drizzle? But like, well, number one, you would be losing stab hurricane, which is kind of lame, and then number two, obviously, but then you get the double boost with the water. So I'm not saying that's like better. It's probably better to have the double boost with water, but it doesn't make that much sense to have drizzle and be bug water. Like, it's not. It's literally just a flying bug that lives near the water. You know, it's not anything else to do with it. Superior Evolution lives is in the water, just like how should Ninjask be bug ground? No, you know, it's a larva stage. That's why it's bug water. So if I was being really pedantic, it wouldn't have drizzle or be bug water type. But of course, you know, I've got to be soulful. It has rain in the name. It learns water type moves. It learns ice beam and shit. Why not give it drizzle? It's pretty cool. You know, it has the ability to like. It's related to the rain at the very least, versus it's not related to the water in the sense that it doesn't live in water, so it shouldn't be a bug water type, in my opinion. Again, I have no issues with the bug water. That it's a little bit of a nitpick, but like I've had bug water, like I literally had it in my notes, like I said at the beginning of the video, so it's not like I'm opposed to it necessarily. I just prefer this. Also, I didn't mention sticky web, by the way. That's another great utility move. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. Sleep powder as well. Sleep powder is great for setup. You're fast, so you have 127 base speed, so most of the time you're going to be getting that sleep powder off. You can also run like wide lens, which is 15% now. So 85% accurate sleep powder becomes 97% accurate with wide lens. So you're essentially guaranteed to land it for the most part. So you land that sleep powder, and then you get a free quiver dance, and then you can go to town. You also can use Z powder, which is really cool. Z powder gives you +1 to all your stats. Quiver dance is quote unquote nerfed to only give. Well, actually, I wouldn't say quote unquote. It is objectively nerfed. It's just better because a lot of Pokemon get it now versus not only like 5 Pokemon got it before. Exaggeration, but it's limited. Now a lot more Pokemon get Quiver Dance, but yeah, it's +1 speed, +1 attack, or special attack, excuse me. No more Spadef. But you have Calm Mind for the Spadef if you want that. Again, honestly, Calm Mind could arguably be better than Quiver Dance because you're already very fast. You don't need the speed boost versus having that bulk is really nice, especially with Intimidate. You know, Intimidate for physical defense and Calm Mind for special defense. It's pretty cool. And it's an earlier TM. You know, you got that TM in the mid 40s versus Quiver Dance is at 50. So, you know, something to consider. Sleep Powder is great though, is my point. It gives you a free setup so you can get a Calm Mind or sleep thing up for free. Obviously it does take up an entire move slot and it is still slightly inconsistent, but it's great nonetheless. Especially because Masquerain is very fast, so you should outspeed most taunt users for the most part, obviously not always. But you can definitely get a couple of sweeps off just with that Calm Mind and, you know, Roost or whatever with Intimidate and shit. It's pretty cool. Or Drizzle, whichever one you need for that fight, depending on if you need the boost to your water type moves or not. It can do a lot of things. Again, also Drizzle parting shot is great for like team support, you know. Switch it in, get that Drizzle up, you know, focus sash, whatever, then you parting shot out because you're fast, so then you just go right into your rain sweeper or whatever. It's good, you know, it's really, really great. So that's about it. I'm gonna leave it off there. It's probably a little bit longer than it needed to be. I kind of got off topic a couple times, so I apologize for that. Also, Nature Power is good coverage as well. Grassy terrain. Well, actually, the only relevant nature powers in this case would be electric terrain, which is very common now because of the TM and because of Volt Rush. So you know, you get Thunderbolt with electric terrain, and then Moonblast with Misty terrain, which Misty terrain is pretty uncommon in this hack because it's not that great. So I didn't give it as a TM. But yeah, Energy Ball is not relevant. Psychic you already have, and you have Energy Ball, so those two don't matter. But yeah, pretty cool stuff there. All right, I'm gonna leave it up there. Again, hopefully I wouldn't say convince, but you know, yeah, I guess you could say convince. Hopefully I convinced you if you were starting this off thinking the other way around. And if you agreed with me from the beginning, then thank you for listening to my bullshit ranting for half an hour, however long this video is. Let's see, 23. Okay, I'm gonna leave it off there. Yeah. Thank you for listening, everybody. Make sure you are subscribed if you are not already. That would be very helpful for me. I just hit 800, so thank you guys for that. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but yeah, thanks for that. It means a lot, really it does. Hopefully I can hit more and more, you know, as I keep uploading and making progress on the hack. That'd be pretty cool. I don't really care too much about the subs as much as I care about people seeing the hack, you know, because that's what I'm mainly putting in work for. The videos are unedited as fuck. I literally just play music and talk for half an hour, so it's not like they're that difficult to make. I just like to info dump. And you know, talk about the changes in my thought process. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Discord server link is also in the description on top of the Google Sheets, which is again in the description. You can see all of that for yourself. I would definitely recommend doing that if you didn't already. You know, check in periodically. I do update it live. So thank you very much and bye.